morning to you. Welcome to Everyday Money Matters on Lagos Talks 91.3 FM. My name is Adu, and this is brought to you in partnership with our friends at Nairametrics, your personal finance and financial literacy show. And of course, as always, on the Everyday Money Matters show, I'm not alone. I'm joined by the able and capable, formidable team, the money team, that is. And of course, the finance man, Olumide Adishina, is here today. Olumide, good morning. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good morning. Hope you enjoyed Easter, Adu. Yeah, good to have me on the show again. Thanks.
Yes, I did enjoy Easter, and I had a lot of Easter eggs.
Yeah, that's nice.
Anyway, also I know that I think Ugo Dre is with us here today. Um, okay, I'm not sure.
Hey, Mr. Ado, how you doing?
Oh, I thought you weren't here. Okay, guys, good to see you. Good morning.
Yeah. How you
Okay,
doing, my brother? How are
I'm very
you?
fine. I'm very fine as well. I have Lawretta here as well. Hello, Lawretta. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
All right, all right, all right. Good to have you all on board today. It's going to be a full house, going to be a very interesting conversation, and I'm pretty excited about what we're about to discuss. Just in case you do not know, Nairametrics is your leading destination for business and financial and economic news and information. So perhaps you are the type that wants to get a grasp of what's going on in the business world or the financial world. Just head over to nairametrics.com and you'll be able to get all of that, because you have content that include breaking news, analysis, coverage of the capital and money markets. Also, financial literacy is part of the things that you see there. And of course, personal finance tips. So do make sure you join that platform to get all in the world of money and finance. Of course, on Everyday Money Matters, it's all about answering your questions, and we got lots of them today to answer. If you have questions, please send it to us on WhatsApp 0809-234-5913. That's 0809-234-5913. All right, team, let's get into it straight away. First question we have here from one of our listeners is, good morning. Please, what's the impact on investors when a company is delisted from the Nigerian Stock Exchange?
Okay, being delisted from the stock exchange means that the company is no longer allowed to trade securities or trade the stocks, on the stock markets publicly. But as an investor, you still own their shares, so nothing really happens to your investment. The only difference is that now when you want to trade the stock, when you want to buy an additional one and you want to sell the additional one, you can no longer do that on the stock exchange, but you can still do that, outside the exchange. Yeah.
So if the person had like 10 million naira in stock value, does that 10 million naira still remain 10 million naira, or the person?
Yeah, it depends on. I think it depends on the circumstances. Just like Loretta said, there are two kinds of listing process. We have the voluntary and we have the involuntary. If it's the voluntary one, usually the company would want to buy out its listed stocks and it places a premium. So what they do is that they give you some kind of gains on each asset. So then we have the one that is not voluntary. That means maybe they did not meet the Nigerian Stock Exchange listing procedure. Maybe, for example, you are expected to at one point release your earnings, at one point filing your results publicly and stuff like that. So once you don't meet that, then the involuntary one, that would be a bit tougher one for investors. But I think in the long run, the listing is just in layman's language, removing your exposure. The company is removing its public exposure from the market. Yeah, that's just it.
All right then. Loretta and Ugo, you want to say something? Okay.
Not here.
All right. So let's move on now. The next question is from a person called Suleiman. It says, my question is on the real sector lending. I think you meant real estate sector lending. It says there was a CBN regulation to increase loan to deposit ratio in Q3 of 2019, then exclusion of banks in the OMO market, all in efforts to boost real sector lending. Okay, real sector lending, I guess. It says, how is there so much liquidity in banking system, yet it's not translating to more jobs in manufacturing, agri, and other sectors? Did you get the question? Let me read it again.
Yeah.
The question is on real sector lending. There was a CBN regulation to increase loan to deposit ratio in Q3 of 2019. Then exclusion of banks in the OMO market, and all in efforts to boost real sector lending. How is there so much liquidity in banking system, yet it's not translating to more jobs in manufacturing, agri, and other sectors?
I think to be fair, that narrative is not really true, because if you look at recent results from industrial stocks, you see that their earnings were kind of impressive from the likes of Dangote, MTN, Total, and the banks itself. So on the macro level, I think the quantitative easy program mentored out by the Apex Bank really works. But this is the issue. This is the challenge. On the micro level, I'm talking about small, medium, most of these business crippled because of COVID-19, and they had little no exposure to such facilities. So we saw a downturn in number of businesses coming out in profits. I'm talking of small businesses. And that was really very obvious when we saw the unemployment data. You could see the number of businesses shutting up. So I think on the macro level, it worked. But on the macro level, it's a problem that is not just peculiar to Nigeria, it's peculiar to emerging markets, because COVID-19 had made banks a bit picky about knowing who to lend. Don't forget that the Apex Bank has been hard on banks on their bad performing loans. So I think the narrative is that, well, it's going to improve, but that's really what's happening right now.
All right, then.
Yeah, Ado, just to chime in there, right? I think another major issue, or one thing we need to also understand, is that there wasn't really enough, right? So there was, interventions from the CBN. Banks actually lent a lot more in 2020 compared to 2019. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't really enough. And that's the key thing, because if you look at the total lending to GDP, is still somewhere in the region of maybe 20%. So I think we have about 20 trillion in loans, and about, I think our GDP is about 150 trillion. So that's just slightly over maybe 14-15% of GDP. So it's just not enough to really push the economy. So I think that will probably be it. Did the banks lend? Yes. Is there so much cash available? Yeah. But is it enough to go around? No, not enough to go around. And did it go around enough? It also didn't go around enough. A lot of people also locked in investments in fixed income securities and stocks. So those things didn't really go into the real sector per se, right? So perhaps maybe a larger stimulus would have helped. Look at the US, for example. They've done, 3 trillion or so, and they're looking to do another 2 trillion in infrastructure loans. So these things all matter, and that's why you're seeing that it's not translating to enough jobs. Adu.
All right, thank you, Godre, for that. So let's move to another fund-related question. This one says, when will the survival fund start payments to verified applicants? The COVID survival fund that was created. This individual wants to know when the payments will start to applicants that are verified.
Well, it has started already. I saw someone in our metrics that they had given out about 27 billion or so in the month of February. So if you haven't gotten it, then you might want to follow up to see why. But the funds, they started paying out those funds already to the businesses. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Now, Ugo, this one is maybe, should I say, custom made for you, because the person specifically says, good morning, Ugo. It says, how do you think I can get my money back? Mentions the name of a company, says Standard Life Insurance. I've invested after 10 years and there's nothing, quote unquote, forthcoming. It says, I'm really tired.
Yeah, I do. That's something everybody who invests in insurance would want to avoid. in a situation where you can't get your claims back. Standard life, standard insurance still exists, but I think that it's been an organization that has, faced up to a lot of challenges in recent years. They haven't really been doing that well. It's still a quoted company, if I recall, but they haven't really been doing that well. So what I would advise is that this person writes to the National Insurance Commission, because your life assurance should still remain and should be protected by law. It's not something that people should trample upon, just like your pension funds. So I would suggest that you get in touch with NICOM, so that you can get your money back. What we can also do is at Nairametrics, we will do a bit of investigation to find out what that process is involved and what it takes to get it. So please just get in touch with the team again. We'll follow up with you and see how we can help you get your claims back.
All right, thank you very much, Dre, for that. So just to reiterate, perhaps you're just joining us and you're wondering what show you're listening to. This is Everyday Money Matters on Lagos Talks 91.3 FM, brought to you in partnership with our friends at Nairametrics. And I did tell you that Nairametrics is your leading destination for business, financial, and economic news and information. So you want to know what's going on in the business world, financial world, economic world, etc., etc. You head over to their website. It's nairametrics.com. And good news is this show is also on YouTube. All you have to do is go to the YouTube channel and look for Nairametrics. Okay, Nairametrics is spelled Naira and metrics together on YouTube, and you can watch the show again. Perhaps you missed the first part, or you missed a question, you want to hear an answer, repeat it again, or you want to use it for just your, shall I say, money knowledge. Well, you can go ahead and listen to it. Perhaps you feel that this is still not enough and you want something a little bit more personal, then you can subscribe to a Stock Select newsletter, which actually gives you a key to becoming a smarter investor. It helps you discover market beating stocks, learn to invest with confidence, gives you insight into factors that will drive capital appreciation, what's going on in the market, etc., etc. And it's a little bit more personal because you get at least two stock recommendations, beg your pardon, monthly. You get the monthly buy, sell, or hold recommendations, so you know which stock to hold, which stocks to sell, or which stocks to buy. You also get exclusive market intelligence on the stocks and the market in general. So all of these come with a Stock Select newsletter. And of course, a succinctly written analysis of company results and corporate action. So what company is declaring what is the profit, what is your take as a stock owner and an investor. All of these will come to you when you subscribe to the Stock Select newsletter. And it's very simple. Just type in ssn.nairametrics.com in your browser and you'll be able to subscribe. So that's SSN to subscribe to the Stock Select newsletter for people who probably want a little bit more. All right, let's get back into the questions. Still a lot coming here. This one is a little bit of the crypto side. So I think, Olumide, you might want to help us with this. Is it better for me to buy cryptocurrency coin and just hold rather than trading? That's what this person is asking.
Good question. But I think buying and keeping for a while is also called trading. We call that position trading in finance, and in the crypto market we call that holding. So I think the narrative is that it has shown that data has often shown that the longer you hold an asset, especially a crypto asset that has good fundamental, you're definitely going to hit record high. I'll give you 3 examples. If you've been reading the Nairametrics article for a while, you notice that the legal issue between the XRP and SEC had been ongoing since early this year, and the coin fell as low as 0.28. Now the coin is trading at $1. You do the math yourself, you see that is alarming record highs. And also, if you look at Bitcoin and Ethereum, holding the asset for about a year will have given you gains of nothing less than 700%. So the thing about holding an asset for a while is that you need to do a very good research on the price you are buying, why you are buying, and the proponent for the future price, meaning that what are the likely odds that it's going to hit that record. For Bitcoin, it's finite. Bitcoin is attracting wealthy investors, so it's already hitting record high. But there are also many other unknown crypto assets that usually we talk about on our metrics. And all I just advise the listener is just that spend your time reading. If you spend 1 hour reading crypto stories on our metrics, I think you will be so informed about what asset to buy in the long run. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, can I chime in a little bit?
Absolutely,
I don't have a cryptocurrency experience, but what I can say is, as we trading any other securities, whether it's stocks or whatever, your investment mandate, your investment objective is what matters. So if your objective is to go in and make short-term gains, like to go in and trade, gain on the volatility of cryptocurrency markets, then definitely you can buy and sell depending on how well the market swings, and monitor the market and don't sleep at night until you figure out where you make your next gain from. But if your objective is to which is one reason people actually buy cryptocurrencies, is to basically protect you from the issues around your own fiat currency. So because the Nigerian Naira has been unstable for a while, you want to put your money in a more stable asset, then obviously your objective is different. So you are not going to be making those trades. You're not just be buying and selling as it comes. So yes, know what you are going into the market for first, maybe. Then you can even decide to do both. So decide that you want to make gains on specific assets, and then the other ones you just want to use that as a security for your own fiat currency. Yeah.
Thank you, Lawretta. And whilst you are still on the mic, let me just throw in this question here. This one is, shall I say, a little bit of a personal finance question. It says, I currently work remotely in my office. It says, do you think it makes sense to relocate from Lagos to Ibadan? Rent prices are cheaper, and I am trying to increase the quality of my life. What are the disadvantages of this?
Well, so yeah, the first assumption is that because you work from home, you don't need to continue paying your probably high prices of rent in Lagos State. Now, that first assumption is that you would be working from home forever, because the truth is, if things have started easing off a little bit, more companies are now sharing it between physical presence and virtual work. So it means that if you now relocate to Ibadan and then your company decides that you need to start coming back to work, or for any reason you still need to work physically in Lagos, then that poses a challenge. So that's the first assumption that you need to properly clarify. Then again, it's also tied to the last question, which is on what your objective is. I have personally made a move to a significantly higher rent, to pay a significantly higher rent, and that move helps me make significantly higher money. So if you feel that there's nothing more for you in Lagos State, and then you can just go to Ibadan because there's not much value for you to extract from being in Lagos, and that's fine. If you believe that based on the opportunities available, and the fact that you would not be working physically at any point, you want to go to Ibadan, that's also okay. But make sure that you should make sure that you are considering all the other elements. So the quality of life is based on probably the costs, the lower costs you will get to pay in Ibadan. But make sure that there are other factors that you are probably not leaving out when you are considering these options as well. Yeah.
I was just going to jokingly say that moving to Ibadan on that might just be Gobe.
Well, let me come in here though. So I know a few people who live in Ibadan and work in Lagos. And the offices, so what they do is that they come in, they work in Lagos, and they live in like a small, apartment, but their family is basically in Ibadan. And then weekends they go back. And if you ask these guys, they tell you it's just cost of living. So cost of living is a lot higher in Lagos. So remember that you're not the only one. So you also got your kids, your wife, your family, extended family, people that you also kind of like lean on you. So school fees is like it's easier compared to Lagos. So while you can be in Lagos, roughing it, or your family is in Ibadan. So there are people who do that. So if it's working remotely, and I mean, you can still get very good connectivity, and you don't need to be, at work maybe on a weekly basis, depending on your remote working policy. I think it's a good idea. Yeah, I think so. Wouldn't you like to work in, Ibadan, or you know what I mean?
I don't think so. Anyway, we have some more questions here. This one is coming from a listener live on radio now. This person is by the name Ismaila. Says, good morning, Adu. Why is there continuous rise in the price of dollar against the naira? And what can the government do to control inflation? Wow, what a big question.
Wow, that's
that's jam question.
Yeah, Olumide, you want to say something about it?
Yeah, I thought Gujo wanted to, but I think.
No, go ahead, Olumide. Go ahead.
Okay, I think basically, let's be fair. Inflation is something that it's a benchmark news across the world, because the fact that COVID-19 disrupted the economy, global central banks had little ammunition than just to print money, or what we say, pump money into circulation to support businesses, and those things came at a price. The amount of funds led to rising inflation, and you see in Nigeria it's already at about 17.23%. But I think the central bank, and I mean in Nigeria context, is doing the much they can, because if you look at the results they've gotten so far compared to many economies, especially frontier economies, they've printed we've gotten some positivity. At least we've not seen any bank that has suffered systemic risk. We've not seen any major crisis in our macro institutions. So I think that was one of their mandates, to keep the economy floating. Yes, on a lot of citizens that are already cramped down about the rising cost of living, I think to be fair, yes, they have to wait a little bit longer, because these are things that will not just trickle down. You don't expect inflation to come down in the twinkle of an eye. Although we foresee that in the next 2-3 quarters, the Apex Bank will start tightening liquidity. And one of the ways of tightening liquidity is that you start increasing interest rates. Because when you start increasing interest rates, you are indirectly mopping funds out of the market. So I think a lot of things will come in play in future. But I think for now, we just have to bear this inflationary pressure.